episode 104 of the Joel Fleischman Happy Hour podcast. We have Joel and Marcus McGuire from Marcus McGuire Homes.
Hey, cheers, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. We're just sucking a little River West Stein Lakefront Brewery. Had this numerous times. Yeah. It's like the macro brew of microbrews in Wisconsin, right?
Yeah,
it's
pretty
like
much.
It's like a large-scale
it is.
Right?
Yep.
Nice. Hey, I got to say, it was a really nice drive coming in, too. Gorgeous day out there today. So,
yeah. Can't beat it. No, I mean, this is why you live in Wisconsin, like the 4 days we have like this.
Yeah, right. Isn't that something? So
tease that is going to be nice and then goes backwards for a little bit. Yeah. So, yeah, Marcus, appreciate you coming on. Wanted to kind of get some background with you here to kind of get started off. So you're obviously from the Green Bay, Appleton area here. Mm-hmm. How long have you been building homes?
Well, it's an interesting journey. So to go before building homes, I actually went to school and I took a cabinet making course. And then my cabinet teacher, the industrial arts teacher for terminology has changed, he brought me to Monarch Gardens and they had a trade show. So there was actually a framing exhibit there. And when I went there, got dropped off, I was kind of circulating through, checking out, bricklaying and a little bit of flat work. And I saw the framing exhibit, and that really reeled me in, right? So I hopped on summer of 2005, and I started framing homes around the Appleton area. And then it kind of evolved into, I guess, a passion, right? I mean, you get out there and you get the good weather, you get the sweat going, you're getting involved with the guys. It's really kind of a team building thing. And in me, prior to that, I'm really big on getting involved and getting into sports, right? So it was very like that out of high school.
Yeah,
so
it's got a locker room jock culture to
it,
right?
A little bit.
Right. A lot of it.
Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah. So, you get with your guys and you're doing their work thing, you get your 8 in and then you go hit the bar after or, you socialize. But, so I framed homes up until I left for Stout, which is where I went to school. I had a construction emphasis, but I was going for a teaching degree. So 05 to 09, I was actually working up in Menominee, Wisconsin. Building like pole barns, and we did a couple aircraft hangars, a lot of farm work, a lot of metal work, just something a little bit different than residential, which, kind of bookending the situation really helped me a lot, right, to where I am now with my, I guess, overall job experience and what we see and what we can provide the consumer. So then after I graduated, I came back and forth, but back to the Valley, and I worked with Chris and Joey, my cousin Chris. Shout out to Woodcraft.
What did you get a degree in?
What's that?
What did you get a degree in?
Technology education.
You did? So
yeah.
I have an English degree. I was supposed to be an English teacher.
Okay.
So similar-ish career path.
Yeah, well, I went through with it, too.
I did not.
You did not, yeah. Well, it's people ask me that all the time, by the way. It's like, oh, hey, you don't use your degree. It's like, well, no, I did use my degree, and it was a really big thing to where I am now, right? I mean, just the communication, my organization, my timetables, my schedule. There's a lot of built-in things that, for a builder that overlap. So long story short, I traveled back and forth, worked in the summers, and when I graduated school, I got a job in Antigo, and I took over their home construction program. So I started building homes with students. Right?
At NTC?
No, actually at the high school.
Okay.
We worked close with NTC though.
So I'm from Antigo. So we got
we
got the first name. We got Antigo going here. We got too much going on here.
Marcus to Marcus here. A lot was
when he said Antigo. I'm like, here we go.
Yeah. Oh, I was a Red Robin, man.
All right. Nice.
Yeah. So
we got some Northwood stuff going on here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I got hired in 2009 there, and then what was I there? It was about 4 years. Yeah, 09,
you coached?
13. I coached baseball.
Okay.
Big baseball family here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and playing too, but and we'll get to that later, but probably. So anyway, I taught kids how to build homes, and I had an opportunity to come back to Appleton, right? And I took over their home construction project, and we went through some different things. We started out working with Appleton Housing Authority, so we built homes for veterans.
I don't mean to laugh, but I'm guessing it was a little bit of a change going from Antigo to Appleton North.
Well, I was housed out of West, right? I'm a
Right,
Terry.
West. Okay.
Terry out hard.
Sorry to bring it up.
Yeah. But I had students from all 3 high schools.
But I mean, it had to be a little different as far as
For sure.
tools
But I knew what I was
available.
getting into. Too.
Yeah, size, right.
Okay, moving on here.
I meant it as a downgrade. I meant Antigo was the peak, and then he had to humble himself.
Yeah, I mean,
to come to Appleton.
Antigo always feel we're the real A-town, but I mean, we'll take whatever we get there. So yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. No. So anyway, I
That'd be Arrowhead, by the way. The real A-town is Arrowhead.
that's true. Very true.
So we're building homes with kids through the Housing Authority, and then we hooked up with Habitat. So we built a couple homes from them. Then we did a couple rehabs, etc. And kind of what happened was, I had my summers off, so I got some idle time. Well, I'm not a guy that lays idle. I'll be honest with you. I got to keep pedaling. So I started to build a home in the summer. So I would take my summer. I would work, primarily alone. I would have somebody help me on the side. And we would build a home and then we'd sell it hopefully before the school year got out, so I wasn't double dipping. And then I did that for 2 years, and 1 home turned into 2, and 2 homes turned into 3.
These are custom homes, or these are specs?
They were specs.
All the specs. Okay, I'm going to put some money out here,
Yeah.
see if I can flip some money, go back to work.
Yeah.
Right.
In the money side of it, I mean, what I primarily did is when I moved back, I bought a house and then I fixed it up. And what we did is we, had it reappraised, and then we pulled some equity out of it, to be able to
really
get my job.
Really smart.
Well, that's the only way I got my start was out of my back, right? I mean, there was no handouts in this situation.
Yeah,
So.
that's really cool. That's a cool start. Risky.
Yeah. I had double mortgage, and then I had a construction loan, right? So
very cool.
Always fun.
Yeah.
And my truck broke down during that build.
Yeah, that thing doesn't sell in like a certain time period, and the bomb goes off. Not in a good way.
So what's your time frame on Marcus McGuire Homes and when that it officially started?
I launched it in 2016.
2016.
Yeah, we launched 2016 for Marcus McGuire Homes, and then 2017 we started McGuire Properties, which is our investment, side of things. So
Sure.
And in relation to builders, it's a very young company, right? I mean, there's not a lot of builders that have less than 10 years experience. I mean, this is a lot of times takes decades or generational builders, right? So that's pretty cool. Great story.
Yeah, I'm a Gen 1 model.
Yeah.
Slice or dice.
That's cool.
So obviously, kind of going off of Joel's point there, being a little bit younger in the industry, obviously you had a lot of experiences you just went through. Is there anybody you lean on? Or was it really just based on the experiences you went through where you're kind of like, hey, I'm ready to go through this and whatever trials and tribulations I kind of
like
have?
Like a mentor, you mean? Or
yeah, like a mentor.
Organization or something?
Yeah, like a mentor almost, where you kind of, somebody who else has been building, who's maybe, helped you out a little bit or whatnot. Is there anybody you look to, or has it really just been through what you've learned?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as far as a mentor goes, I worked for what I think are the best framers in the Valley, and that's my cousin Chris and Joey.
Shout out to them if they happen to be listening.
Construction,
there you go.
right?
Shout out, guys. Good job.
Yeah, they can do anything. I mean, those guys are crazy. They're still out there. They've been doing it a long time, and I call them often, even today. I mean, I just do. The construction industry is ever changing. You have to have like somewhat of a home base or somebody to lean on. I will add to that, Marcus. I mean, I force fed a lot of my stuff too. When I was going through school, or at least I got my first job, up in your hometown, we would frame the home and we would do all the insulating, we do all the wiring, every single thing before your licensure had to be a licensed trade, right? So we would go through inspections and everything, don't get me wrong, but the kids were performing all that work. So I showed up and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can build a home. They're like, oh, well, by the way, you got to wire it, you got to plumb it, you got to do all the HVAC. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I know I can frame it, I can roof it, I can side it, but I got to learn these other systems. So I was, primarily just reading text every night. And that made me a better builder today because I've personally performed every aspect that goes into a home.
That's really amazing. That's a pretty cool story. That's awesome.
Right. I mean, literally, were you think like every night out of baseball season? I mean, what was kind of the timeline of that? Were you educating yourself that way?
Well, we would go through specific units, right? Like quarterly, you would have like a framing unit, and then you would move into electrical, and you would have 2 levels of class. You would have intro to construction, and then you would have your house construction students. full, candidness here, I try to stay a week ahead of them. So I'm literally taking the same information, the same chapters, the same tests that they were, and I'd have to master them before I would, deliver the content.
But then you're double learning it, right? Where you're
for sure, then performing it.
Back to a great old saying, right? The best way to learn is to teach. Mm-hmm. I truly think that's a great way to learn, is to actually teach.
Yeah. You kind of get to a depth of understanding of mastery, and they talk about that in the education field. So
yeah, we talk about that master of a craft, passion. In Drexel, we talk about team members where passion meets their talent, and passion and talent plus development means master your craft. You just nailed it. And if you have to master your craft, for us as team members, that really is our Drexel commitment to supply happiness. We're looking for people that are naturally, I'm a God guy, naturally gifted with passion, naturally gifted with talent. And then we combine those two, and then we give them training, world-class training, hopefully monthly. Man, I don't know how you can be happier in your workplace or your job when you look back, right? And saying, I'm good at what I do. I love what I do because I'm passionate about it. And damn, I get really good training to even get better. I think that is so cool. A little bit sidebar to sports, right? And sounds like you've coached a long time. We've all coached a long time. I love passion and talent kids, right? Because they're contagious. And you give them a little something, and they actually take it further. You're like, yeah, well, like that, but you did it even better, right? It's so cool. But if passion doesn't meet talent, which happens in business too, and why people move in and out of Drexel a lot, we kind of have high turnover sometimes, and people kind of call us out on that, and I love it. I'm like, that's because they maybe were really good at it, but they just didn't love it.
Like you
talked about framing, right? Like there's so many people that would never want to. What you said was so cool. I can just tell your passion pouring out. Some people just don't love it, right? Like I can do that stuff, and then you have people like me. I'm just not freaking handy. Like I put vinyl siding on. I can barely hang my own shelf. I've gotten better at it. But like I'm just not handy.
YouTube videos.
It is, but like for me, I got to watch it 17 times, right? Like I'm like, oh shit, and then I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna cut my finger off, and like I don't like heights. Like framing to me is like not fun. Like I've done framing, I've done foundations. Like I'm like, none of this is fun, or I'm not talented at it, right? So passion meets talent, I think, is huge, and a lot of what you said was you were continually looking to meet your passion and your talent.
And sometimes
you just ran with
it takes a long time to settle in too. I have students. Till this day, it was how long ago? 10 years ago, 14 years ago that I was, teaching up there, and I'll get a wild email out of nowhere, and they'll say, "Hey, just so you know, I'm hooking up with commercial outfit. I'm doing my journeyman's, electrician field, and I'm working for so and so, and I didn't know I would find this path, but this is where it led me, and I really want to keep going and like it." Well,
and I think if anybody younger generations are listening, or young parents, right? Let the kids try shit. Let kids do shit. Don't get forced into AAU, club, baseball, basketball, golf, something like that you want to do. Let them try piano and coloring and Boy Scouts and try shit. Don't get them too busy, but try shit. And same with summer jobs. If you wonder how Drexel hires, or at least how Joel hires, I love diverse resumes. I love seeing bartender, waitresses, carpentry. Like I want to see that you've done the world, right? And you've learned a lot. Like, tell me your worst job, tell me your best job. Like, well, I've just always done this. Like that's like go see the world and come back.
Right.
Whatever the world means to you,
Yeah. How big is your team right now?
10 strong. Well, we take on youth apprenticeship students, so we like to contribute.
Of course you do, right?
Yeah,
that just
right,
makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a great segue. But we're real involved with the schools yet. We're on and this goes to a lot of people say, well, hey, I can't find anybody to work for us, and where do you find your people? Well, it's very easy. You hook up with local schools, you get on their youth apprenticeship, basically email list.
I want to help. I want to jump on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
You tell them how to do it, and I love that. I shouldn't have interrupted you, but I think it's bullshit you can't find great people.
Yeah.
The people I talk to that say that don't try.
Right.
Well, I've got someone on LinkedIn. Like, what are you talking about, LinkedIn? Kids ain't on LinkedIn. Yeah. Like, do you know the good kids in your community?
Yeah, no.
And have you talked to them and told them about how cool this industry is and give it a shot? And giving them summer help? And yeah, you're going to go backwards before you go forwards, but
It's not just a one-shot deal.
I think there's great kids in our community. I think they're wonderful. I love the young kids that work here. They bring this vibe and energy, and I think I've said it in past podcasts. I think it was Coach K, the coach of Duke. I don't think it was John Wooden. It was I think it was Coach K, and he always says he's going to live in a college town.
Sure.
He's like, think about it. Why would I move to Sarasota and be with a bunch of old people and be waiting to die? No, he said, yeah, you keep the beat, right? Like you have the. I mean, you know that as a teacher, you get the energy, the culture. You know, you keep up to date, and they kind of like pull you along. Like, I got to keep going. They're going, right? They're like, why would I want to not be part of a college town? I'm like, oh man, that just hit me. Like, yes, like youth is wonderful to have in your organization. Take a chance on them, totally. and train them up. So talk to me about 10 people. That's a lot. Like how many homes do you build right now? Are you custom? Are you still doing spec? Like, what is your current business model? If I'm a prospector, right, you're having a beer with me at the bar, and I'm like, Marcus, tell me, would you build my house? Like what would you say? Like, what's your market? Who do you target?
Well, it's a straightforward answer. I mean, we usually keep, on average, like a rotation of like 12 to 15 homes at a time going, right? That's like, there's a point where you have
So that means about 15 a year, 25 a year?
Yeah, we do a little bit more than that.
25-ish then that kind of scales out to?
Yep, that's about where it's at. I mean, it depends on the size and magnitude of
He says
projects.
It's so relaxed, doesn't he? Like, just like, yeah, 25.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a grind, right? But it depends. If you really take a look at that, there's certainly the number, but then there's what's built in within. So you have self-finance projects that don't have customers attached, and you can do them at your pace, right? So the question is if you met me in a bar and said, hey, I want to get going on my house, well, I come back and reevaluate and see, okay, how many customer projects that we have right now, and how many spec homes, and then how many investment projects, which are also self-funded. So you have a third.
What does an investment project mean?
Duplexes, or
you're going to rent them out, and you do that internally. You do property management. And you'll
yes.
keep that property and then rent them out or buy to own or whatever works for those owners.
No, we just lease them. Yeah.
Yeah, you lease them out year to year.
Yeah. So I mean, we try to shoot for 10, build 10 duplexes a year so we can keep them.
But that's very scalable. I mean, in 5 years you have 50.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the scale of that grows pretty quick.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, some years it depends, right? So getting back to the third model, and you grow this with the amount of help that you have and what the year looks like. I mean, we take on, a certain amount of contract homes because they're involved, as you know, right? So they take more time, but they're safer, right? So you have short-term, medium, and then long-term investments. Your short-term is going to be working with customers, building their home, right? So we're going to have less of that because it's going to be more in time or more involved, and you're going to have a little bit more, hands-on and attention to it. So then you have your medium term, which would be a spec home, for example. You're going to build, let's say, that's the mere meat and potatoes. You're going to have a little bit more of those going because, they can be worked on as you need be. And then your long term is going to be your investment properties.
Where do you spend your time?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I spend it on my phone. Like I was sitting here.
No, as far as third, two things. Where do you actually spend your time, like in a week? Like you said, you're on your phone, like we were talking, like how busy you are, which totally makes sense. But two things. I will say, where do you spend your real time, physical time? Where do you spend your mental time? Like, where's your heart? Like, when you say third.
You know the industry there now. So, we have a certain amount of people, and it's an efficiency marker. I mean, we've had more bodies on the crew, and to get into that, I mean, our team is wonderful. I mean, we wouldn't be doing the volume.
You want to give them a shout out? You can. Hi guys, what's up?
Oh, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, they already know, but our guys that are on staff, they're awesome, and they're out there right now doing their thing, and I'm so appreciative of their efforts, and we try to take the Drexel model and show them and provide them and make it a good life too, versus through wage and through time invested and getting together for team building events. And
it has to be through wage too. I think that gets forgotten.
Yeah,
you can't have. I will say, baseball. You can't win the World Series without decent payroll. Mm-hmm. No offense, Brewers, but you got no shot.
Yeah, right.
love you, Go Crew.
Yeah. So, yeah. Getting back to that, I mean, as far as like the volume of work and things like that.
I want to get back to like where you spend your time, right? So third.
Yep.
Right. You have you have three different kind of branches of your company.
Yeah,
but how about in your brain? Like what are you drawn to the most? What are you like? You're a thinker, I can tell, and a developer, and what are you? Or I'll put it this way. It's a different question. Let's just spin it a different way. What are you currently chewing on at night?
Well, future, is the easiest answer.
Which means what for you? Like, what are you trying to
new
figure
homes, new developments, new land acquisitions?
So you try to get ahead of the business.
Well, yeah, you got to push.
Right. And what's the one that what's one that's fun, and then what's that's kind of driving you nuts? Like if you can't, like land's been really fun or land's been really hard. Like what of the future? What's where you're like, I'm concerned about this part of my company or the industry. I'm excited about this part of the company or the industry.
Well, I think, anything residential is fairly turnkey for us. We have a recent acquisition that we had that we're going to be doing. So we're finishing up our subdivision in Kaukauna, right? We got a couple lots to go there. But we just purchased and rezoned through the city of Appleton, with Common Council and all that, 5.5 acre chunk of land to do 55 plus condominiums, and then we'll keep and lease them, which is a really neat thing based on the feedback from our other investment properties. Something that is a little bit more on the dark side, or I wouldn't call it scary, but maybe untreaded water, as it were. We're going to be doing a mixed-use building downtown Appleton.
First time for that?
Yeah, right. So it's a tiptoeing into commercial, right?
Yeah, it is. Brand new or renovation?
Brand new, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so mixed use is that's such a hot thing right now. But yeah, that's a different vibe. That's cool. Back to that 55 acres. I'm always curious because you can do it a bunch of different ways. Are you doing with what I call a mono look? I don't know if there's a real thing for that, right? Like same siding colors,
no,
same look. Or are you going to try to diversify as much as possible?
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Different different blueprints.
It can be, yes. So underneath,
how many variations, or just variations of the same, or all of that, or
yeah. So it's going to be the same footprint, but what we like to do is change up siding color, masonry, and then roof returns, right?
So again, by roof returns means basically different profiles on the roof.
Yeah, right, exactly. Or edging of the roof, box returns, gable returns, hip returns, that kind of thing.
Have you challenged our team? Again, this is why you got to hijack the questions, right? Have you challenged our team, and be honest, right? Like, and don't be and I guess I'm encouraging you to do that. Challenge our team. I would even love to get involved. Like, bring me the heat, right? Like, here's the footprint. I want you to come up with the colors. Again, on my team, you have 10 people. You can influence that, but like, hey, you guys are the experts at Drexel. I want to see what you come up with. I want what we call VE, which is value engineering. I want you to show me without value, right? Like, I want you to cut back cost, but keep my value of these there, right? I want to see colors. Hell, but make all 55 colors, have all 55 plans, and just roll.
I haven't really gotten into that. I mean, you guys have that wonderful new 3D CAD modeling. I mean, it's pretty nice. I got to say, and customers have jumped. I think we were one of the first ones, actually.
You were, yeah. You really were, yeah. And again, to me, it's it's almost even better, or equally as good for when you do this condo development, right? And I would challenge the current team that you have at Drexel that you built up, that we built up for you, or however you want to say it, right? The partnership we have with you. Challenge them like, I'm coming in for an hour with my team. We're going to sit at a table. We're going to suck some beers or whatever, right? Suck some waters and milk and 7-Up. I got that from Bill Walton, by the way.
Yeah, nice.
We're going to have waters and milk and 7-Up, and we're going to pound this plan out, and I'm going to give you a week, and I want you to come back with as many ideas as you can. We'll take it or leave it. Our team will decide. But there's so many. I would love to see the plan because I could blow holes in it in a second. In a good way, not blow holes in it, but like opportunities, right? Change this and you might be like, I love pocket doors or whatever it is, right? So you don't take all the ideas. But man, when you start talking 55 condos, which is 110 sides, and if you can say just $5,000 a side, that's $500,000. We call it raindrops make rainbows. Raindrops make oceans. Geez. Or rainbows. That's prettier. It's prettier. Raindrops make oceans, right? So when you build condos, to me, it's so important to find from every one of your subcontractors and let us lead that charge of telling them raindrops make oceans, guys. tell me what I'm doing that's stupid. Because they're like, well, that's why Marcus likes it. He just likes it that way. Like, how much savings would that be? I don't know, like $500. It's no big deal. This is the way we've always done it for him. Like, dude, $500 here, $500 there. Before you know it, it's 10, 15, 20 G's a side. I mean, could you imagine 20 G's a side?
Oh, yeah, no. I mean,
That's $1 million.
It's monumental. I mean,
without changing the footprint and the value of the property, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, we look at things, we put it under a microscope, and due to what we've done and where we're going, and we look at things, and we do the value add in-house for myself. There's certain things I refuse to cut back on, and we want to ultimately
But let us brainstorm for you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I just think it's like a lot of times a builder like yourself is looking at the trees because this is what we've done, and we value engineered this 100 times, and we know what we like, but you don't know what is done in the industry and what is maybe new and fresh and exciting that you haven't explored, right?
And I'm one guy.
I
and
love
see
challenging
the whole
it.
market too.
Absolutely, right. And again, that's not. I always say that's sharing best practices, and that's not copyright infringement. That's not patent infringements. These are best practices I'm seeing in the industry. We should be sharing them with the industry. That's not a threat to another builder. It's just not,
Yeah, there's plenty of market share out there. So
yeah. I mean, if we can convert that to floor trusses and save you $2,000 and blah blah blah, who knows, right? Until I see the plan, I wouldn't know. But I'm surprised how much we can find within an hour meeting. I really am. So send me that plan. I'd love to see it.
yeah, well, they're working on it right now up at Wrightstown.
Okay, send it to me, boys.
Yep. So I got a meeting there Monday at 10. Maybe you'll be there.
Who you meeting with?
Luke and Myra. Myra.
Yeah, Myra Thor. Hi, guys.
Yeah,
Welcome.
yeah,
Shout out to them, too. They're really good guys.
Yep.
Challenge them
absolutely.
right off the design phase, and then keep it coming through me. So
Right on.
We talked about just before off air how long you've known Marty Bovey as your quarterback and whatnot. I guess from your standpoint as a builder, where do you see, kind of Joel was asking about value stuff too, but like where do you see from the builder standpoint of value, like from a supplier standpoint? Is it convenience? Is it people? Is it price? Is it all those? I mean, those are things you're really looking for where you're like, this is why I enjoy working with Drexel.
Oh man, that's a loaded question. I mean, first of all, Marty, that guy, he's a tank. He's built for his job. I mean, he is great at communicating. With customers, with me, I mean, he's a pillar in our operation for sure. I met Marty actually when I was framing with Woodcraft, and this would have been maybe like during the recession. I would say like 2009, 2010, somewhere along then. He would have been new, I think, to Drexel.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I met him, and he was always very genuine, very high energy guy, and like you say, going back to before, like when you really like your job, right, you put forth a lot of effort. I mean, the guy, he's awesome. So, I was just a grunt on the squad, right? And then I had made the call. We're going on 4 years now. I think this is our 4th year. And I called him out of the blue, and I just said, hey, Marty, I'm, building homes. I met you back here. And he goes, you sound like the perfect guy I want to take on. And, we hit it off ever since, So
That's awesome.
And we were, he definitely, we hit right on the crescendo. So we were kind of at like that 6-7 home, a year thing. And then we really started to step up. But he's very organized. He's very detailed. I go and meet with him all the time. We email all the time outside of work hour stuff. You can't, any other job, it's like taboo. But, I feel comfortable texting him and whatnot outside of the work hours. And he always gets back. I mean, it was Memorial Day, right? I'm down at the Brewer game, and he's texting me and emailing me for stuff for work. And I'm sitting in the stands getting back to him like, hey, what are you doing? Like, go have some fun. He's like, nah, I just want to get my week straight. So, that's huge. So
That's cool.
No.
That's cool.
And where's your, obviously we talked Green Bay, Appleton. What's your entire territory? I mean, how far south will you go to how far north, or doesn't it really matter too much?
Yeah, I mean, as we increase, when we're busy, it's tough to pull like that half hour, kind of geographical circle. I mean, because we try to stay as dense as we can, otherwise you lose efficiency, right?
It's true, yeah. So truly a Fox Valley builder, if you will.
Well, I mean, we go elsewhere. I was on the way here talking with a couple about an hour and a half away to do a project on a lake. We'll do it, and we'll look forward to it. It just depends. I mean, going back to that third, how many custom homes do we have? How many spec homes? Because we can adjust our timetable, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a big thing. Time of year, as you know, in Wisconsin definitely is a big piece. So
2034, 10 years from now. And I can tell you're a lot like me where 10 years is a long space, which it is for anybody really, right? I mean, who knows? But where's Marcus McGuire and where's Marcus McGuire Homes in 10 years?
Ooh. So the overall plan, as we accrue investment properties and they become their own animal.
Yeah, that's going to become a beast.
Yeah, right. So the plan is to roll in the employees that we have. The trades are a tough, thing, right? A majority of our guys, they're 27 and under, like 20, probably 19 to 27 is our age range.
Super dynamic.
Yeah, super dynamic. So they're building their skill set and they're building their knowledge of buildings at just a breakneck speed, and we want to provide them, a lifestyle, because I lived in between the bells, kind of cattle, bing, and then you'd go, okay, I'm done for the day kind of thing. And the trades are a really nice lifestyle because you can, you get a rain day, you got the day off, or you can cut out early and go for an appointment. And there's something to be said for, comfort in day to day. So long story short, our overall plan is to transfer these guys into more of a project management or role, right, for investment properties, because they're building their skill sets with how buildings come together. They made the buildings that they're going to ultimately take care of, and then we're going to transfer them over to ultimately procuring and taking care of the buildings as a whole in a little bit less aggressive role. Right.
Interesting. So, that's great. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, we're kind of planting seeds as we go, and then we'll take care of them later. So
that sounds cool.
Before we finish up with our famous Billboard question, we were talking about how big of a baseball guy you are. Obviously, touched on coaching.
Oh, yeah.
Joel had asked you a question right before we got on the podcast. I believe it was, what is your favorite baseball experience?
Yeah. You're traveling to different. You're doing the whole trying to see all 32 teams, right? You've coached, you've played, you've obviously been to a lot of different events. What's your favorite one? What's your go-to where you look back and like, that was my favorite experience?
Well, my wife and I and son, my son's 7, huge baseball fan. He's really came on with that. I coach him actually,
Cool.
Just because of my involvement.
Do they have names? Do you want to say them?
Yeah. Lachlan McGuire and Brittany McGuire.
Yeah, hi guys. Shout out.
No Mark McGuire?
Well, that's me. They shortened me up. So it's funny how many times when I play baseball they give me a shout out for that because I played first base.
Oh, did you really?
Oh, yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. So anyway, we're doing the ballpark thing. I mean, he's big into baseball. He's on a couple different teams. We went to quite a few. I think 7 or 8. I think we're up to a 32, right? So your next question being, what's your favorite ballpark? So my son's a Cubs fan. I'm just gonna say that
for now.
For now,
you can convert.
He's young.
There's time.
Yeah, he's young. Well, here's why he's a Cubs
Foolish
fan.
mistakes.
That's what I was gonna ask. Why?
Yeah. So
question.
The first time we went to a major league ballpark was Chicago. And they lay it out nice.
That's Dad's fault.
Yeah,
that's Dad's fault.
Yeah,
you don't go to Wrigley for your first game, dude.
Well,
that's a Dad epic fail.
Yeah,
that's on you. I hope
80 degrees.
I hope he is now a Cubs fan for life because of the mistake you made when he was 5 years old. I hope he burns you with that.
So was he crying today?
We happened to be down there. I think we were doing some shopping or something. We were just getting out of town for a minute, and some tickets popped up, and we're like, "Hey, yeah, let's go." Well, we snuck in like some really nice like 4th row tickets, at the end, and we got him in there. So we're walking into the stadium, and they're grabbing him. They're taking pictures. They're doing like the certificate thing. It was a Sunday. If you didn't know, Sundays kids run the bases.
Wow,
sealed the deal. Right, so we get the game in. Cubs win. They fly the
salesman.
W.
He's a horrible way to do this. I'm so frustrated with you right now. Like if I was a dad, I would have been like, just this is the worst place on the planet. Can't you smell it? The bathrooms, guys. Did you just see how Cubs fans are? Like you got to sell these kids right on culture.
Yeah,
I mean, my kids hate the Bears.
I blame the weather.
No.
Right.
think
Well,
you're
he's a
wrong.
diehard Packer fan.
Well, we got a little bit going.
So we're half
Have you
there.
been to a Cubs Brewers game at or Miller Park, AmFam, whatever you want to call
We
it?
were just there on Monday.
You were.
Yeah, on
That's right,
Memorial Day.
You mentioned that.
Yeah, we were just down there, and the Brewers got the win. Adames,
yeah, that's right. Huge game. Huge game.
2-run bomb.
So, what is your favorite experience?
I mean, as far as the ballpark goes,
Anything like any baseball memory you have. From,
me personally,
yeah, from little.
So we
from you
once-
playing or a spectator or a coach. Like which part of your career or just lifelong love of baseball do you? And for me, baseball by definition is it actually. Sorry, Marcus. It died in World War II, and everyone knows that except for a few freaks.
Yeah.
Like it literally,
Yeah.
it's over. But
Yeah,
anyways,
yeah,
keep living the
I get
dream.
it.
Keep living the dream. Play out cricket or whatever is lacrosse. Fringe.
did you play
sport.
baseball? So you can't say that.
I did till
Oh.
6. This is kind of interesting. I played till 5th or 6th grade. Was not worth a pinch of crap, to be honest. First base, left field, but also a lot of right field, a lot of butterfly time. And I think it was 6th grade, and our little town in Kewaskum came out with a co-ed league that was softball, literally like wear jeans. And I was in hardball, like I was a hot badass. And my parents were like, this is how my parents were, or maybe how the culture was back then. They're like, well, we're not taking your sister to baseball and you. We're just going to sign you up for the co-ed league. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, that's just the way it is. And that just, if I wanted to play baseball, I played co-ed. So that was the end of my life in
So
baseball.
it's your parents' fault, not your fault.
Oh.
No, I was horrible at baseball. I put that a little bit under the radar. I was not good at it, but also I find it extremely boring. I've coached it. My kids have played it. So it's not like I used to have a 20-pack at Miller Park. Like I'm legit, I was at the first game of Miller Park. Like I can check all the little baseball fan boxes, if you will.
Yeah.
So, anyways, let's move forward. What's your
Something
favorite?
in your blood,
I gave you a little time to think about your favorite experience. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's an easy pickings, but baseball was a big thing for us growing up. I mean, it's a game that gets in your blood. I mean, we had a really good teams that I grew up playing on. I mean, all throughout Babe Ruth and going into high school. But we actually won in 2004 the state championship.
Oh
right?
man,
D1.
Mic
Yeah.
drop.
Exactly.
That
At
for all of you-
Rattlers Field.
For all of
You
you,
want a mic
yes,
drop?
Yeah.
I also went yard at Timber Rattlers.
All right. For all of you that have known Marcus and have heard this story 75,000 times, I apologize to all of you. I promise he did not set us up for this question. That is a mic drop moment, and
We actually
I'm
just
almost
had
annoyed that we asked it.
Yeah.
Because he just hit another home run. Who brings that up? And I have a story. I had a home run to the state championship that we won at Rattler Stadium.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We just had our 20
pretty
year
cool.
2 weeks ago, I think it
That was
was.
your senior year, huh?
Yeah. Post Crescent did a little
We're
spoof
both
on
04
us.
too. We got a lot of connections here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. 20 years ago, we had our little reunion the other day.
Oh,
and
man, here we go. The podcast is never going to end at this point.
Yeah. So, I mean, a baseball guy, it's fun. Like I say, what's more fun, I will say, and what I should have probably brought up is watching my kid like last night over on the diamond, 4 for 4, a couple doubles, just the smiles, the team, it's neat. It's cool to see it kind of, I guess reflowering as it were. So
Yeah, that's really cool.
yeah.
Yep. I'll give you coaching advice because I think you're going to need it at some point in your life. I can tell. Best coaching advice I ever got coaching youth kids: never care more than the kids. I wish I would have known that when I started.
That's interesting.
Right?
There's a lot of truth to that.
Well, it's Sunday afternoon. It's the championship game. It gets against your rival from high school who's coaching across the street, right? And you're jacked up like all can get up, and your kid's hitting 600, and your team's 14-2, right? And it's a championship game, and man, you snuck in the championship game, and you're ready to go, and you're in there like effing Vince Lombardi, right? Like, whoa! And the kids are like, dude, it's Sunday at 4 o'clock. Can we just hit the pool, please, right? And when that happens, the frustration for both sides really mounts, and that's when the smiles disappear. And I wish I would have known that much earlier in my career, because the last couple of years I could just you can gauge it, like we can all gauge that, and you're like, oh, they're punched out.
Right.
Guys, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go have some fun. I'm going to back off a little bit. If it takes second place, it is what it is. And that's way more impactful. Anyways, we'll leave you with that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, final question. Billboard, you got one giant billboard on 41. Everybody in the world can see it. What's it say and why? It could
Well,
be,
Antigo, I thought you were going to go Highway 8.
well, 45.
45.
45, I'm sorry. Oh, my gosh.
8 would be Rylander.
Yes. I'm going
Or
Antigo.
64.
I'm
You
going,
got two
I'm going
choices.
Rylander, Antigo. Oh, my God. So
Yeah.
Joker's Wild, right? Is it Antigo or something? Joker's.
Three Jokers.
Three Jokers, is it still
Three
there? Is it
Jokers,
still
the bar,
there?
yeah.
That was always our big stop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not there anymore.
Oh, it wasn't? That was
No,
always like
it's
one of
not.
our first stops going through the Northwoods on 45.
BB Jack's.
Can't believe I said Highway 8. I apologize to everyone from Antigo and anyone that's ever been to the Northwoods. Horrible job. Highway 45. Anyways, it's on Highway 45 or 41.
Yep.
Finish your thought.
One billboard. It can mean anything, family, work related, just whatever really matters most to you, kind of top of mind.
Get involved. That's what I would say. You kind of touched on it earlier there, Joel. I mean, if it's anything, that I learned along the way, sampling things, right? Like you went to the resume piece. I mean, that's huge, right? You got to try things in life. And when I was in education, I mean, I talk to kids all the time, be like, hey, well, my dad does this. I'm going to do this. I'm like, well, is that what you want? Right? I mean, you got some time here, right? So, and that's something we're working on with our son. He's involved with like theater and he's involved with the baseball and he does like learn to skate, and we'll bring him over to the Y, to get involved with basketball and other things. I mean, just getting involved, I think, is a lot because what you're going to do is you're going to build a lot of relationships. And I look at the relationships that I've built throughout the years to date, and there's still people that we interact with. I'm not a huge Facebook guy because I don't need to be a big Facebook guy because I actually interact with a lot of the relationships that I've had before, So, and the other thing is you build a Rolodex of people that you will, network with. Whether it's going to be in your hometown or local, or whether you're going to travel and connect with people across, the country or the world, right? So.
Right, and if you're sitting next to Marcus, I think it's got a two-sided meaning for Marcus. Get involved, but I can tell Marcus is a contagious personality and spirit, and I'm guessing for you, get involved also means get to know everybody. And you kind of mentioned relationships, but get involved is like get involved in their lives too, right? You aren't just showing up for baseball.
Right.
I guaranteed you when you were state champ, you knew those guys like they're like your blood brothers, right? Probably had a real good time after 20 years. So I love that. Get involved. Loved it. Marcus, thank us for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate
All right,
it.
man. 104 in the books. You want to say something yet? I can tell.
No, I just appreciate you guys having me out, and thanks again. So.
Awesome, man. Thank you for all the business and opportunities, and thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
104 out. Peace.